Okay, fine. Daryl Golden and Pi. What's going on? We're just struggling with some text rendering. Also, Daryl Golden, were you at the meeting? And if so, was there anything important that I should know? Okay, so this should be additive now. I think what I'm gonna have to do is just not do any of this rendering. I'm only gonna render the square. And I'm gonna do it with additive blending. And there's nothing here. FBO use, FBO clear, and render square. Don't know why that's happening. Used it, cleared it. But it isn't rendering anything now. Oh, it must have to do with that additive blending. So if I do it now, yeah, there's still nothing. Man. If I do it like this, then there is. Okay, so I'm doing something wrong with the blend function, I guess. Hold on. Project color is this. Is it because I cleared it to 1111? And so then if it's additive blending, then it's adding to this white. And you can't add color to white, so it's always white? Could that be it? So I wanted to use clear and then render it here. Let me not clear it to white. So this should be black by default. And I did something wrong. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, great. So now, yeah, now it is using additive blending. And it's doing it in the way that I want even. Oh, man. I hate image magic. Okay. Let me see if I can do the shortcut. This said I should be able to do additive blending like this. Context.additive blending. Can I just do this? Let's see if that works. Even better. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this with a color value of 1/255. So the color that I draw here doesn't really need to be in a uniform. I kind of don't like that I'm starting from black and I'll be adding and moving it towards white, I guess. I'll just go at 1/255 for all of these. And the alpha, I think I'll keep at 1. Oh, that didn't work. Actually, maybe that did work and 1/255 is just very small. So I had to make this like 5 over 255. Or 10 over 255. Small. So I had to make this like 5 over 255. Or 10 over 255. Maybe then I'd be able to tell a difference. And I can start to tell a difference. So I'm actually gonna... Nothing should be overlapped more than 4 times. So anything that's less than 255 divided by 4 should be alright. So I should be able to go up to 60. I'll try 50. Okay, so this gives me a lot more information about what's happening. And I want to render this to a texture. And then go to that texture, detect how many times it's been added, and then render the square based on that. Okay. So step 1 is render this to a texture. It should be the same as this. What is size? 1024 by 512? Okay, sure. Okay, so here I'm gonna initialize a texture. I don't think I need this depth attachment. I'm just... Well... Do I need this? Wait, I have to look at this. Probably not. I don't think I need any sort of depth with this. Is the texture a depth texture? What? Oh, it's attached to a frame buffer. Not simple frame buffer, just frame buffer. So color attachments. Okay, and then the depth attachment. I should probably know what a depth attachment is. But I don't. I just ask, what is it? Okay. To as is if an image. Is frame buffer attachable? The question which types of objects are attachable is from some section. Is this gonna tell me what a depth attachment is? If attachment is color attachment, then image must have a color renderable internal format. If attachment is depth attachment, then image must have a depth renderable internal format. If attachment is stencil attachment, then image must have a stencil renderable internal format. Okay. For depth buffers, depth component, or sized internal formats with base internal depth format depth component are depth renderable. What? Well, now I know that it's depth renderable. Although I don't know what depth renderable means. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it as none. And just have the texture on its own. So I'll initialize this texture, make the frame buffer, use that frame buffer, clear it to nothing. Done with the default if, clear it to nothing. Done with the default is if you don't clear it, but I think I should just not clear this. Then I'll render the square. So this will have a black screen. And it should have a black screen because I rendered to the texture instead of the screen. So now if I want to render that to the screen, I think I just have to use fbo.use. Then I want to render the texture to the screen. And what does this do? Pass this use texture flag. Okay. So it's 0 for this texture prog. For this texture uniform. I remember this gets passed really weird. So for the sampler 2D, you pass in an integer. Then you do texture.use location equals that integer. And that's how you pass a texture. Okay, so I think that should just render it to the screen. That small... Okay, great. And so it's on the screen. It's not the same size, because I didn't make it the same size. So let me modify this so it's the same size as the screen. I think all I need to do is change these vertices. Although I kind of want to keep the old function. I should have it still in the ModernGL rendering file. Yeah, I still have that. So I can ruin this one. So this... Let me change this to -1, -1. I just want this to cover the whole screen. Well, that's a start, I guess. -1, -1, then -1, 1. Then this is being the top right, isn't it? -2.51. Yeah, so I want this to be 1, 1. Okay, now hopefully half of that will cover the full screen. And I think it is. So now I have to move that bottom half. So -1, 0. That should be -1, -1. -2.50 should be 1, -1. And this -2.51 should be 1, 1. Okay, now hopefully this covers the whole screen. Nope, did something wrong. Darn, what'd I do? So this was right. Yeah, that's where I started. I need to move these vertices one by one. So this -1, 0, that's right here. And that's going to -1, -1. -2.50. That's the bottom right. That should go to 1, -1. And then -2.5, 1. Top right corner, that should go to 1, 1. Perfect. So now I'm rendering the same picture, but this time... Perfect. So now I'm rendering the same picture, but this time I'm first rendering to the texture, and then rendering to the screen. And I didn't need that depth attachment, so that's good. Okay. Cool. So then... now hopefully I can see if I can actually render this. What I'll want to do is read the color from the texture and see what the multiple is of, I guess, 50 over 255. Since I used 50. I think I used 50. Yeah. So where's the texture program? Here. Okay, so I can read off this F color. So pulling out a vec3 of texture from the texture in vtext .rgb times 1.0. Actually, so one thing that I want to try, just to make sure this is working, I'm going to change this 50 over 255 to the 1 over 255 again. So now I shouldn't be able to see anything. And now what I want to do is pull this color off. This should be the same color that I wrote here, only it was additively blended. And now I can say if f color dot f color at 0, I think that should work. And then modulo. Actually, I can just do this. Take all of this, multiply it by 255. Then I want to take the modulus of this, which I think I can do in OpenGL. Hopefully. Okay. Compute value of one parameter modulo another. So this mod 2. And if that's 1, that's when I'll render it. So I'll just do red. Otherwise, I can discard that pixel. Okay. And it worked. Great. That's cool. So this means I was able to render this square, which isn't a square, but square in normalized device coordinates, by picking this arbitrary point and then rendering the triangles emanating from the arbitrary point to the edges. The same way that it's, oh my gosh, image magic, the same way that it's doing here. Now I'd like to know if I can do holes. And if I can do holes, then I should be able to do any text. Which direction is this going? It's going the top, right, bottom, left. Is this the same orientation? Yeah, that's the same orientation. So let me draw a hole. In the middle of the shape. And hole. In the middle of the shape. And this hole will just go in the other direction. It's going top, right, bottom, left. Let me do left. I think I just have to switch these. So it's going from -3, -3 to -3, +3. It's going up. I just have to switch these. So I'll go do the left, then the bottom, then the right, and then the top. I have to make all of these smaller. And make the buffer larger. Okay, so I'll see how that works. Great, and I can render holes. That's perfect. This is like exactly what the algorithm mapped out. And I actually don't even think the orientation matters. I should put that this is a shape. This is the hole. So now, if I were to bring in the actual vertices of a shape like an E, then I should be able to use this to render that shape with this algorithm. Which would be really cool. Just to clean this up, I think I can get rid of this use texture boolean. And I'll probably have to write a small function to do the triangulation. So that I won't have to add this one here manually. So I guess all I need now is like Bezier points for an actual shape. Although getting it in normalized device coordinates could be kind of annoying. Possibly. Maybe I'll just try to get this first. So I'll fire up some example. Yeah, that's perfect. And what I want with this is to draw a shape. Or draw a letter. Actually, I should be able to use my handy dandy snippet Then I'll do self.add GL text of an uppercase A, I guess. I'll do an E just to be consistent with this. Okay, if I look at this, all right, that's good. Zooming in on it takes forever. Zooming in on it takes forever. That's all I needed. Now I want to print that thing's points. And there's nothing here. I get to do that data at... Is it like E at 0? Okay. Although that's a lot of points, man. I guess that shouldn't be a big deal. I guess I could scale these up by 1. That'll be more similar to normalized device coordinates, I think. So let me come here. I should be able to do, I'll just put points here. Oh man, they don't have the commas. So it won't be a huge deal either. Although I don't know if you can even type numbers like that in Python. Nope, guess you can. Okay, so here are some points straight from Manim. Fusion 005. What's going on? I am in the midst of doing some text rendering. Which, if I'm lucky, this should allow me to give me a way to render the vectorized objects, OpenGL vectorized objects, with shaders that work with the rest of the meshes. If I'm lucky. Okay. So here's a texture. I render that to screen. Now, all I really need, I guess, is to replace the coordinates of this square with the coordinates, triangulated coordinates of this E. Which I don't think is terribly difficult. Well, maybe sort of difficult. Is this repeating? Yeah, every other index is being repeated. This would be a good... This would actually be a really good instance to use an index buffer. Actually, I should find a way to do this with an index buffer. That would be a lot more correct. Because here, this -1 is being repeated. And there's a lot of repetition between the last and first points. Okay, so first of all, I have to remember how to use an index buffer.